Blakeney with the blow by. Garuba defends the rim.
Yo guys, what's going on? Today we're going to be talking about one of the most polarizing players from this year's draft, Mr. Usman Garuba. Man, did his performance against the Portland Trail Blazers put him on the map. Let's just look at his stats real quick. He had 8 points, which is okay. He had 10 rebounds, which was pretty good, and 5 of them were offensive rebounds. He had 6 assists, which is very unexpected for someone who's known to have very little ball skills. 5 steals, and only 1 block. But that block was huge. I know y'all saw that at the beginning of the video. That block literally cemented the game and let us take home the victory. In addition to that, overall in his performance, his plus minus was positive 14, and that was literally the highest of both teams. The only one that was closer to him was Josh Christopher at plus minus 11, and he was also phenomenal. 20 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, great shooting percentage unlike some other games. But Usman Garuba stole the show. Going into this game, I really wasn't feeling Usman Garuba. I felt like he was too big of a crutch offensively, and his defensive impact was somewhat lackluster. I felt like he wasn't bringing everything that he had to the table, and I don't know if it was because he was jet lagged, if he was tired from coming from Spain because of the Olympics, or maybe, he was just fatigued. But I felt like we weren't getting the full dose of Usman Garuba. I still liked him as a player and his potential, but at the time I was just kind of iffy. But after this last game, I can honestly say we probably drafted one of the most polarizing players. So overall, he played 3 games and his averages were 4 points per game, nearly a block per game, 2 steals a game, 2.67 assists per game, which is something we're going to talk about. 8 total rebounds per game, and 3 of them were offensive. His free throw percentage was horrible at 40%. He didn't hit a 3. He tried some, which was good to see. And his field goal percentage was only 33%. So that pretty much tells us all we really need to know about Usman, is that offensively, he is not good. Based on advanced stats, his offensive rating was at 89.2. In comparison to someone like Şengün, I guess, Şengün's offensive rating was 106.2, which is pretty damn good. But the reason I don't like Garuba offensively is not because of his game, but it's the fact that he hinders the entire offense while he's out there, which is shown by his offensive rating. I felt like whenever he was on the court, it seemed like he was doing more harm than good, because he was clogging the paint, he wasn't really hitting his shots, and more so, there's a lot of indecisiveness in his game. What should he do? There's a lack of chemistry, which is abundant. Should I give a pick here? Should I give a give and go? Should I throw the ball across the court? Where do I pass the ball? Where do I stand? All in all, he seemed lost, and it showed. According to Usman, he said he got on the flight, he went to the hotel, he went to sleep, no practices, and played the first game. Honestly, for no practice, he did pretty good, but you could tell that the lack of chemistry between him and his teammates affected his game as a whole, especially on the defensive end. In his first 2 games, he was, let's say, mediocre defensively. He really wasn't flashing what we wanted to see. But in the last game, Usman Garuba was a beast. He was ridiculously good. His last game really helped bring his entire picture together, and we could kind of see what Garuba needs to work on, what he's already good at, and what he can bring to the team. Thanks to his performance against the Blazers, his defensive rating was a 91.5. To understand how good that was, Evan Mobley, one of the most touted defenders in this draft, had a defensive rating of 102. Think about that. And when you compare him to one of the players who really stood out, and Scotty Barnes' defensive rating was a 93.7. So overall, when Usman was on the court, his defensive rating, his defensive play affected the team in a positive way, which is exactly what we wanted to see, kind of having that Draymond Green effect. But something that I didn't expect and honestly want to see more of is the ability to rack up assists. I honestly did not think someone who is so raw when it came to the offensive end of the game, could pass the ball pretty well, whether it was just handoffs or whether it was just a simple bounce pass. He was making plays that led to buckets. And what I saw from Usman that I don't think a lot of people noticed was his three-point shot was looking a lot smoother in the summer league than it did when he was playing for Spain. And what I mean by that is when he was in Spain, his shot had a little hitch in it, especially around his wrist area. But when he played in the summer league, I could immediately tell that hitch was a lot less significant. It was more of a smooth stroke. That's usually the first step a player needs to take in order to become a serviceable shooter or even a really good shooter. So I'm glad he's already ahead of the curve there. Another thing I noticed was right after he gets a defensive rebound, he's looking to go. He's looking to run the fast break and make a play on the other end. Seeing his passing and seeing his assist totals, I can honestly say he does have the potential to be a player that grabs the rebound and then just goes. We saw Alperen Şengün do that a couple of times, and I wouldn't be surprised if Usman Garuba can do that as well. That being said, a lot of his game I don't think will translate immediately to the NBA. And I really think it would benefit Usman Garuba if they put him in the G League. And the reason I say that is his defense is 100% NBA ready, and I really want to see him play against the likes of KD, Jason Tatum, Luka, James Harden. You know, the list goes on and on of the great offensive players in the league. And it would be really great as a rookie if he could get the experience of playing against some of the best. But his offensive game is just not ready yet. Whether it was due to a lack of chemistry or honestly just a lack of execution, it seemed like Usman was just a crutch on the offensive end. And he really needs to go in the G League to kind of find his own flow and find a game that works for him. The reason why Usman Garuba is so polarizing as a player is because in the Olympics we saw him shut down players like Luka, Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum. Although there are just one or two plays, for a 19-year-old to be able to do that here and there, it's incredible, especially against some of the top guys in our league. But the downside to Usman is the lack of a polished and feel for the offensive game. It seems like when he has the ball is just foreign to him. But that is something that can only be alleviated with time, and time in the G League is the best thing he can do because I feel like he'll get the most touches there, the best feel, and if Josh Christopher joins him there, they can really develop a chemistry and a bond that can translate to the NBA as well. I think Usman has some great potential in the NBA, and I really think that he can be a significant piece to a championship team. You know, one of those players that has a specific role and they're an elite player at that role. I definitely foresee Usman Garuba lifting the NBA championship trophy sometime in his career. So thank you for listening to my video. On the left hand side is a video about Scotty Barnes and how he's the new face of the Toronto Raptors. On the right hand side is the reason why Trae Young is the 2022 MVP. So what do you think about Usman Garuba? Do you think he has the potential to be a star? Do you think he can figure out his offensive game to be able to contribute on the NBA level? Let me know in the comments below. Other than that, smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you later.